This video is all about cake. Big ones, little ones, unusual ones, naked ones, chocolate brownies. So if you're interested in wedding cakes, then this is the video for you. But before we get started, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my channel. I make wedding planning videos and tarot videos related to weddings. So if this is something that interests you, please subscribe and help me build my little channel so I can reach more people. My social media links and website are in the description. I have a wedding planning book available on Amazon, iBooks, Kindle and Blurb, and links are in the description. So let's get started and find out what the wedding cake options are. It has always been a tradition that wedding cakes have played an important role in the wedding day. Originally, guests would bring small cakes and place them in front of the couple. The couple would then kiss over the pile of cakes in order to ensure future prosperity. One of the many perks of my job as a wedding planner was getting to eat lots of wedding cake. Yummy! Gone are the days of just fruitcake, marzipan and a thick layer of royal icing. In are the days of different flavours, personalisation and lots of imagination. Cake flavours like chocolate, red velvet, lemon or ginger have taken over from the traditional fruitcake or vanilla sponges. It can be so hard to choose what flavour you want that many couples are going for a different flavour in each tier. And there's not just tiered cakes to think about. So what are the options? Quick promo, my book, Planning a Wedding the Wedding Planner Way, is out now on Amazon, Kindle, iBooks and Blurb, and also available from my Etsy shop. So if this is something you're interested in, please check out the description below and all the links will be there. It's full of lots of useful information covering everything from the start to the finish, including wedding day timelines, runs through the whole wedding day, how to deal with the seating plan, children at weddings, do you, don't you, the speeches. It's all covered in a nice, friendly, down-to-earth style. So do check it out. Thank you. The first option, and the traditional one, is the tiered cake. Keeping with the traditional look is the tiered cake. This style of cake originated at the wedding of Prince Leopold, Duke of Albany in 1882. How high can you go? If it's a royal wedding, then you need tiers upon tiers, practically touching the ceiling. But for us common folk, 3 or 4 tiers is the popular choice. The venue space and style might also dictate how many tiers you have. If your venue has high ceilings in a grand room, a little 2-tier cake will get lost. And in a small venue, a towering 5-tier extravaganza would dominate the space. It all depends on what kind of statement you want to make and what the budget is. Cake flavour choices are up to you, and you don't need to stick to fruitcake unless you want to. Each tier of the cake is made up of 4 to 6 layers of cake with a filling that is then iced. Then each tier is stacked on top of each other and then the whole cake is decorated. You can also have false tiers. So if you want the look of a 5-tier cake but only need 4 tiers, then have a fake layer. This will be iced and decorated like the rest of the cake, so that it won't really save you much money, but it will be unnoticeable to the guests. Just make sure the person cutting the cake knows which is the fake cake. The options could be round or square. On a practical level, the square cake is easier to cut up into nice even slices, but square or round depends on what you prefer. Just make sure you hire the right shaped cake stand for your cake. There are plenty of resources online to work out what size cake you need, and your cake maker will advise as well. If budget is an issue, you can always have a smaller decorated cake and then get a cutting cake, which is a plain ice cake that the guests don't see, that is cut up for extra portions. The next type of cake is the naked cake, and this is really popular, especially for less formal weddings. It's a tiered sponge cake, usually vanilla, with lots of thin layers and a jam and cream or buttercream filling, with the layers and filling designed to be seen. There can be a thin layer of buttercream on the sides, but so the sponge still shows through, but it has no fondant or royal icing. This type of cake is decorated with a dusting of icing sugar, fresh fruit and flowers. If you hate all that sweet icing, then this is for you. These look lovely in a rustic setting, such as a teepee or a barn wedding. The disadvantage is that without the protection of the icing, these cakes can dry out, especially if in a warm marquee. These cakes need to be made the day before or the morning of the wedding. Also, the filling and fruit could attract insects if you're somewhere that's a bit more open to the elements. And you can't disguise wonky cake layers under icing with one of these cakes. Another trend is the novelty cake. You can really go to town with your theme, personalities and hobbies etc. with a cake like this. These make a colourful focal point. Pinterest has so many photos of different ones that can give you ideas. If you are going for a novelty cake, find a company that specialises in these cakes. Otherwise it could be funny for all the wrong reasons. Go to town with your ideas. If you don't want a full novelty cake, you can go for a fun cake topper instead to sit on top or alongside a more traditional cake. Cupcakes. This was a huge trend a while back. I do love the look of pretty cupcakes on a stand, and everyone gets their own individual cake. These can also be made in different flavours as well and be decorated to fit your theme. I think these cakes work really well for smaller weddings, as you don't need too many cupcakes to make a great display. There is usually a high buttercream to cake ratio, so if you don't have a sweet tooth it can be a bit too much. Cake selections. I've seen this at a couple of weddings where 10 to 15 guests, who can obviously bake, brought different cakes and they set up a cake buffet table. If you are doing this, make sure all cakes are labelled with any allergens and make sure there are cake options for people with intolerances, for example egg-free, nut-free or no dairy. This gives lots of cake variety and is a cheap option as your guests are bringing them. They look great displayed on a long table and on different stands. You can always have one slightly bigger and more special cake that you can use for cutting. The brownie tower. Who doesn't love a sticky chocolate brownie? I've seen these at a few weddings and they make a great display. The brownies are stacked to create a tower and usually fruit like raspberries are placed in between and around them. Cheesecakes are very popular. 5 round cheeses of decreasing size are stacked on top of each other like a cake and decorated with grapes. This is great as a display for the evening buffet and then can be eaten with crackers, chutneys and fruit. Cutting the cake. Traditionally, it is done after the speeches when everyone is having their tea and coffee. A lot of couples are now waiting to the evening to cut their cake. By doing this, the evening guests also get to see the cake in all its glory. It works well with cutting the cake and then going straight into the first dance. The cake can then be served as part of the evening buffet. So, what style of cake are you having? Please leave your comments down below and I'll look forward to reading them and finding out what you're having on your wedding day. Bye for now.